Okay, people. So we have a special well, it's an interesting one, right? Because we are looking at a film that we previously looked at, right? All the way back in 2023. I'm talking about The Bystanders. This all came about because of the great Matt Halsey, right? The great Matt Holes, who we've had on the pod. You know what I mean? And yeah, so basically, right, The Bystanders is just about to drop on VOD, and the director, writer Gabriel Foster Prior was just looking to talk about the film, and Matt was just like, "Yo, you should go on Echo Chamber." So that's what happened. We sorted all of that out. So yeah, I decided to re-look at the film, right? And as mentioned, it is written and directed by Gabriel Foster Prior. Jack Hughes also helps out with the writing. The film is then produced by Foster Prior and Louisa Rivera. It is it's associate produced by Anand Bhuptani uh, and Anish Patel. It is co-produced by Alex Fedelsky and line produced by John Palfrey Smith. Fuzz Foster took care of the music. That's a fun Fuzz Foster. It's a good one, isn't it? Right. Cinematography, we've got Matthias Ashford, Daniel Emilov Silvanov, and Norbert Striel. Will Steer edits the piece. Art direction, we have Heidi Hills, Amy Hills. Well, no, it's Heidi Hells, I should say. Hells and Amy Hills. And Sharoon. Right, we got hair and makeup, Chelsea Murphy and Margarita San Luis. So it's the cast, right? The cast. Well, Peter, our good old friend Peter, is played by wait, where am I? Oh my gosh. Things are never laid out that well. Scott Haran. Scott Haran is Peter. Frank is played by Seann Walsh. Luke is played by Andi Jashy. Then we have got Alice played by Amy Hills. We've got Michaela played by Lauren Douglin. Right. Toby Huggs is played by Tom Clegg. Jimmy is played by Ray Caliga. Winnie is played by Emily Milburn. Sky, played by Julia Vara. Felicity, played by Elizabeth Castillo. Dottie, played by Caroline Ginty. Sarah, Georgia Mabel Clarke. Uncle John, Steve North. We have got Vanilla, played by Adam Morse. Norm, played by Marek Larwood. Robin, played by David Shaw. Bill McDonald, played by Nick Helm. Fleming Chester, played by Stefan Boehm. Kate, played by Emily Wyatt. Julia, Lucy Pinder. Joe, played by Frank Harper. Who else do we have? Fernanda, played by Kerith Jando, Dottie, Caroline Ginty, Paul Nicholas Bramahilia, yeah, I'd say that's probably our main lot of people. I don't know. Laura's played by Darcy Hudson, Tom, Michael James Parkinson, Georgie, played by Carol Veretti. Yeah, Dom, played by Kurt Deed. Oh, the man in the suit, who we see later on, is played by Ryan W. Berry. Okie dokie. So, the gist of the film: Peter Weir, a former child genius at chess who is now an inconspicuous office drone, is recruited precariously for his anonymity. You know the word, people. To become a bystander, a kind of empowered guardian angel tasked with watching over and invisibly helping an individual subject. Peter is trained by jaded bystander Frank, who out of boredom proposes that they swap subjects, so that Frank now has middle-class girl from Kent, Sarah, and Peter has feckless loser Luke, whom Peter hopes to transform into a winner so that Peter himself can win the award for Bystander of the Year and make up for losing a chess contest decades earlier. Hilarious rivalry ensues as misanthropic Frank, who can only see the world through Frank tinted glasses, sets about purely for the lulz, undermining Luke's and Peter's newfound success. So, yes, there you have it, people. So, yeah, we originally looked at this for the 2023 Sci-Fi London, right? And I have to say, right, I was kind of jaded on my views on the film. And like, I don't think I hated it, but I wasn't really, focusing a lot on the things I really liked about the film. And there was a lot I really like about this film, right? It is the feature directorial debut from Gabriel Foster Prior. And there is a lot to really like about this. The approach he has used is really fun, right? We get the the world in which Peter inhabits. We're seeing all of that in black and white, right? Peter is, as mentioned, he's a bit of a bit. Well, loser might be a bit harsh, but he has become jaded, right? He's just kind of become inconsequential. He's become accustomed to finishing second, right? He was, as I say, we see his past, right? As a child, wanting to be this chess genius, but missing out. Right, when we look at his flat, he's got all of these second place trophies and ribbons, certificates, all of that kind of stuff up. He's not a winner. And yeah, he just feels nothing's going to go right, even until he's recruited to be a bystander. And the interesting thing, when we go to the bystander world, everything's now in color, right? Everything's now in color, which really does add this interesting kind of dynamic to the film we're watching, right? Because this then becomes the vibrant world, right? This is a world where Peter has more options, right? The ability to reconfigure who he is and how people perceive him. You know, it's a fresh start. So it kind of makes sense to have that world in color. You know, when the bystanders blip, right? So essentially, blipping is their transportation. You know what I mean? Their teleportation, their bamfing. You know what I mean? If we want a night crawler, it we get this kind of swirly kind of effect, right? We see kind of like this outline goes around them and they go away, which I thought was I liked that. I enjoyed that. You know, it's a nice little touch. It's something a little bit different that we don't, you know, the effect in which a transportation usually has. So it's different, right? And that's always enjoyable, right? Watching these new cats step into the scene and putting a different spin on things. You know, it's not just the same old kind of thing. It's not like maybe just a puff of smoke or, you know what I mean? We get something different. That's nice. So those were really interesting touches, you know, adding to this. You know, just the kind of angles used to kind of frame our scenes, to show our characters and the different kind of stages in which we find them in, you know, all done very well, right? Gives us that perspective on all of these people, right? We definitely see Luke being this again, I don't know if Luke is a full-on loser, but he's someone that isn't motivated in life, right? And we see that. We see that clearly, you know? The different thing with Sarah, right? You know, she's got this good job, right? She wants to achieve, but she does seem stuck. She's very timid. She doesn't want to necessarily seize the day, seize the moment, right? She feels that other people are more worthy than her. So all of these things are very well displayed, right? We don't need this big monologue to explain who these people are and what their characters are. So I thought that really well done. Really well done. Our bystanders do look like bellhops. They do look like bellhops in space, you know. It's funny at the beginning. Frank gives Peter a introduction, right? An introduction to being a bystander. And we just see one of those old school TVs. Now, if you're a certain age, right? You're from a certain generation. Just seeing that TV just makes you smile, right? It's just a big back, those bulky motherfucking things, you know. So he just brings out, and it's just those kind of little touches that you know add to the kind of aesthetic fun of the film, you know, because it's sci-fi essentially, but we've got a lot of these old school things thrown in, you know what I mean? Uh the chess game. We see a chess game in I mean, we see a few chess games, but there's this one chess game. The way that shot, I really enjoyed the way that shot. Yeah, because it's kind of like to make it be actiony, but then also it's chess. So it's kind of fun. It also that kind of sequence reminded me a bit of I think the episode's called Windows, right? The IT crowd where they play Street Countdown. Benedict Wong is in it. And it's such a oh my god, it's a great episode, which was seemed to be created for a stupid joke at the end. The joke is so dumb, but the whole build up to it just makes you laugh so hard. But yeah, the framing of that chess game, it did remind me of that episode. So yeah, no, this it's a very solid as I say, it's a very solid featured directorial debut with some fun elements in it, right? So I think Gabriel has kind of looked at it as a kind of cross between Wings of Desire or the Adjustment Bureau, right? But set in London, right? Set in London. And you can kind of see those elements. I mean, I don't know if it's fully the Adjustment Bureau, you know what I mean? But no, you can see some elements of that in this. Now, there are things, right? And again, like in my initial review of the film, there are things that I do still believe, right? So when someone's feeling mad down on themselves, I don't know if they're having all their second place trophies and certificates up, right? I don't know if you're going to do that, you know? And there is that thing in the film. It's a bit like the rom-coms you see, you know what I mean? Like someone does a thing or makes an assumption, there's a falling out, and then one person apologizes, but the other person doesn't apologize, right? And in this, there's this situation that only occurs because someone's being a bit of an ass, right? And there's no apology for being an ass. You know what I mean? I don't really feel that the friendship is reciprocal in this instance, you know? Don't really think the friendship's reciprocal. So, yeah, I wish that was maybe addressed a little bit more, you know? Yeah, it just makes this thing a little bit odd. But apart from those two things, you know, it's not a bad film. It's not a bad film. If you know, and I did equate it to The Inbetweeners, and I do think if you enjoyed The Inbetweeners, right? I'd say the first film and the first season, if you enjoy that, then I think The Bystanders is a good benchmark for what The Bystanders is, right? We it's not full of like dick humor and that kind of thing, but the sensibilities are very similar, you know. It's very much like that. It is, I think, quintessentially British in its tone, you know? So, yeah, if you enjoy that kind of thing, then people, I think you would enjoy The Bystanders. I think it's definitely, it holds up better than things like Unfrosted. You know what I mean? Now, obviously, there's going to be people that'll be like, "What are you talking about, Scott? Unfrosted was great." You know what I mean? But yeah, no. If you like those indie sci-fi flicks, right, and we see a lot of those at Sci-Fi London, it is a good birthing place for people to check out like these fledgling films from this up and coming talent. So, people, if you like those sorts of things, then people, The Bystanders is now out, right? It dropped yesterday. So it's now out on VODs. I'll have the links on the website. So go check that out. Go follow their Instagram page for all the information. Follow Gabriel because this is a really good window into what he can do. And you know, obviously small budget, tight time frames, all of that jazz. So if he can do this on that, imagine what's coming next. You know what I mean? Imagine what's coming next. So yeah, go follow Gabriel because you'll see him definitely doing even more things, bigger and better in the future. right? So yeah, people, go check out the Bystanders at Bystanders, right? And check out our conversation with the great Gabriel Foster Prior. Okay. All right, people. Peace.